So if you're new here, I still got kind of a little cold, so bear with me a little bit. It's kind of going away though. Today I'm going to be telling my labor and delivery story. I asked who wanted to see this and I got a lot of feedback and a lot of people wanted to know how it went. So today I'm going to be doing my labor and delivery story, and honestly it was a fairly easy labor and delivery. Honestly, I think I had a really good birth. Um, there are things that I will definitely would change. Like if I could go back and change them now, I wouldn't have been induced. And yes, I was induced. A lot of people are very controversial about that. A lot of people do get very angry about that. I have seen some pretty like knockout, drag out fights over social media about inductions. So this was just my personal choice and what I chose to do. Obviously, if I could go back now, I would change it, and I would want to have a natural birth. And I actually plan for my next baby to have a either at home birth, and if that's not possible, to at least have a water birth at the birth center that's about an hour away from here. So hopefully we'll get to experience that. But I'm going to be talking about my labor and delivery story with Trace because right now he's the only baby I got. So I gave birth on December 3rd, 2018. And obviously his name is Trace. Well, that's his nickname. He's actually a third. So yeah, his dad's a junior and he's a third. It's kind of like a family name, and it was really, really special to them that we keep the name going, and so we decided to we decided to keep the name going. It actually is really funny because I did not want to name him that at all. I hated the name, and I told them, I said, if you can find a nickname that I like, we can name him Eric, because that's the first name of the family name, the whole name. And so finally we were going through nicknames one day and we found Trace and I really liked it, and that's pretty much how he got his name. But I can do a whole story on that if you would like to know kind of like more in depth of like how everything went and how we really decided on his name. But I'm gonna get back into his birth story. So when he was born, he was 6 pounds, 14 ounces of just pure perfection. Obviously, is not what every parent says. But no, he really was. He was perfect. And the moment after you give birth is really like nothing you'll ever experience in your entire life. Like, I mean, I've never cried tears of joy. I know like some people do, but like I've just never been one to just like cry tears of joy. Like if I cry, I'm upset, you know? So but that was the first moment in my life that I cried tears of joy. And I mean, just thinking about it makes my whole heart just warm up. But anyways, he was 6 pounds, 14 ounces of joy and perfection, and he was just the cutest little thing. When he first came out, he looked just like his dad. I mean, it looked like I had no part in creating him whatsoever. But I had to be there at about like 5 a.m. that morning. So I got there, I had forgotten to eat. My doctor had told me to eat a small meal before I came in for my induction, but of course I had forgotten to eat because I was just so excited to get to the hospital and meet my little guy for the first time. And I ate like half a granola bar. That's what I got induced. That's what I got induced, you know, with in my belly, with like what was in my stomach for food, whatever. I ate like half a granola bar. He told me to eat a small meal, but I'm assuming a small meal was a little bit bigger than what I ate. Anyways, luckily I had a really, really, really easy labor and delivery, so I got to eat lots of food after he was here. So I went in, I forgotten to eat, I did all my paperwork, and they take you up to the room and you change, like you have to go in the bathroom and pee in this little cup so they can test your urine to make sure, you know, like you don't have preeclampsia or like anything like that. I can't really remember like all the things they test for. And you put on your hospital gown. I brought my own pillow, and I highly suggest bringing your own pillow. I was so glad I did. Their pillows in the hospital are so uncomfortable. But I'm also like an over preparer, so my hospital bag was huge but prepared. I didn't even wear half of the stuff that I brought in my hospital bag or that I thought I would. I changed Trace's clothes like 5 times a day because I had brought in so many outfits and I just wanted him to wear them. But anyways, back to the story. If you can't tell, I get sidetracked a lot. But anyway, so we did take you up there. You put on your hospital gown. I got situated in the bed and everything, and they started my Pitocin about 6:30ish, and the contractions really weren't that bad. I mean, it was like nothing I couldn't handle. I was barely feeling them. It mostly just felt like a lot of pressure, but you could definitely see them happening on the screen. And then my doctor finally came in around like 7:30, which is what he told me. He told me when I had went to my appointment before that I would get there about 5 and he would come in about 7:30, 7 o'clock and break my water. So he broke my water, and after that, contractions were, oh my God. Oh my God. They were so bad. Like, I think I have a little clip of it, and if I do, I'll insert it right now of me crying because they were hurting so bad.
I get life reform in case there's no infection. Man,
Ow.
guess which fingers get the blood circulation out that motherfucker. Little diabetes.
Christy, please. Can I take a bed? I paid those royalties because you told me to, because your lawyer told me to.
Our lawyer was mistaken. This happens sometimes in business. It didn't work out for you. It happens sometimes. Truth lawyers don't happen. Which I said. And you said I had no business being Joy's advisor. And now it turns out that it was right.
Okay, but yeah. So they broke my water. The contractions were horrible. I couldn't move. I was just crying. It was like the worst pain I'd ever felt in my life. But honestly, now I take that back. A toothache is the worst pain I've ever felt in my life. I would rather give birth 1,000 times over than have a toothache. But anyways, again, back to the story for like the 100th time. Where was I at? Okay, so they broke my water. The contractions were really awful. I was crying. My doctor, when he left, he was like, "Are you feeling all right?" You know, and I was like, "Yeah, I'm feeling great." So my nurse came in and she checked on me like 5 minutes after he broke my water, and I was like, "I need the epidural now. Like, I need it now." Because my contractions weren't, like contracting and then they would stop for a few minutes and then they would start again. Once he broke my water, it was like really, really, really painful contraction. Like, it was like it would kind of slow off and then it would just start again. Like, there was no break in between. And I've heard that a lot with a lot of induction stories that, like, after they break your water, or not after you break your water, but with Pitocin and stuff like that, it can cause the contractions to be continual and to not have a break. And that's really what was happening to me. I wasn't getting much of a break at all. And at my hospital, I don't know if it's the same for everybody, but you have to wait 45 minutes to get your epidural after you ask for it because they have to give you a bag of fluid. Guys, that was the worst 45 minutes in my entire life. The longest 45 minutes of my entire life. Like, I felt like he was never gonna come. I felt like he was never gonna get there. Well, finally, he gets there and he's super nice. He was super calm the whole time. He kind of helped me. He worked with me because I was in a lot of pain, obviously. And when you get your epidural, you have to be really, really, really still. And you have to like arch your back over, which is kind of hard to do when you're having really bad contractions just one after another. So he finally got my epidural in, and I could still feel my entire left side. And I'm like, oh my God, like this still really hurts. I can feel everything on my left side. So he comes back in like a few minutes later because he'd already left at this point, because I thought it was going to take like a minute to kick in or something. And I told my nurse I was still feeling my left side, and she called him back in there, and he comes and he turns it up, I guess like 1 or 2 higher than like what they normally keep it on, because I was still feeling my left side and I was in a lot of pain. And so he kept it on, like they kept it on that even after, like, because I kind of fell asleep after that a little bit. And I want to say I threw up too. I want to say right after I got the epidural, I felt really nauseous and I threw up a couple times. And like I said, I hadn't really ate like any breakfast or anything. I ate half a granola bar. So yeah, there wasn't much to that, but it was just the one time. And it really wasn't even a big deal. I mean, it was like the least of my worries at that point. And after that, like I kind of drifted off to sleep and I took a little nap. And well, I say little, honestly, I don't know how long my nap was, because after the epidural and taking the little nap, I woke up and it was like 11, and my doctor came in probably like 15 minutes after I woke up. And he checked me and he said, "You're a 7. And he's like, by lunch we'll have a baby." So I really wasn't expecting that. Like, I wasn't expecting him to come in and be like, "Oh, you're at 7 centimeters, you know, like, we're gonna have a baby soon." Was not expecting that. Okay? Like, when I went in that morning to be induced, I was like, oh, I'll probably be here till like 5 o'clock tonight, or I could be here until tomorrow in labor, you know? Like, I was not expecting to go in and then by lunch that day him be like, "Oh, we'll have a baby by lunch," you know? So it was really surprising to me. And he left. And I need to mention, my doctor is absolutely amazing. He was just great. Like, I always joke and say that if we ever moved and like we moved far away, that I would come back and be pregnant here just so he could deliver my baby, because I absolutely loved him. He was so motivating. He was so helpful. He respected every single thing that I wanted during my pregnancy. And he was just an all-around amazing doctor. And every single person I know that's been to him or his clinic has had nothing but amazing experiences, because both the doctors in the office are absolutely amazing. And I would never mind either one of them delivering me. But he come in and he's like, "We're going to have a baby by lunch." And I was like, "Oh, really?" You know, surprised. And, so we just kind of like laid around and chilled after that. I was completely numb. I was super numb. And, like I kept having my boyfriend pick up my foot and like move it and like push it on the bed, because I kept feeling like my foot was going to fall off the bed because I was so numb. And like, secretly, this is something nobody knows. But after I had woke up from my nap, we were laying there, you know, obviously just waiting on me to dilate, because sorry, there was a piece of hair on me. Okay, so my camera died, but now I'm back. So they were waiting on me to dilate, or we were waiting on me to dilate. We were just kind of hanging out a bit. I totally lost my track of thought. My camera dying threw me all the way off. Okay, so I was dilated to a 7 around 11:30. We just kind of hung out, waited for me to dilate, and then I want to say my nurse came in about this point. Oh, and the only 2 people who were in the room with me were my boyfriend and my cousin, because my cousin's really like the only family I have, and my boyfriend because obviously he's my baby's father and I wanted him there to see his son brought into the world. That was just a personal decision that we made. That was a personal decision that me and him as a team and a couple came to the conclusion because we wanted to be able to bond with that baby. And I absolutely love his family, do not get me wrong. My mother-in-laws, both of them are absolutely great people. I love both of them, but at that point, like, I just didn't know. I was a first-time mom. I didn't know how I was gonna feel. I didn't know how it was gonna go. I didn't know what to expect, and I just wanted to be able, like, I just wanted everything to go as smoothly as possible, and I just wanted, like, I didn't want to have a lot of people in there and a lot of commotion, and I wanted to be able to have that first hour after birth to really bond with my baby, and it just be me, him, and my boyfriend. Because after I gave birth, because my cousin ended up being no help. I actually forgot to mention this while I was talking about my epidural, but she almost passed out on the floor, and the anesthesiologist had to bring her orange juice and a pillow. So they were more worried about her than me because she almost passed out while getting my epidural. She wasn't even getting it, okay? And then when it was time, like when I was starting to push and she had to hold my leg, she almost passed out again. Okay. But anyways, that was just a personal decision we made, was to just have those two people in the room with my next birth. Obviously, if we do have another baby, then, if I get to have a home birth, I would like everybody to be here or be there, because I would be in the comfort of my own home and I would feel a lot more comfortable having family and everybody around, especially to experience such a special moment like that. But if I do end up having to have another hospital birth, then we will do the same thing that we did this past time, and that was just us two in the delivery room, and then everybody could come and visit once we got into our recovery room. So that was really, really helpful, and I really just feel like it gave us time to bond with our son, and that's just something I really recommend to first-time moms, especially, is if you've never had a baby before and you've never experienced it, definitely give yourself an hour or even an hour or two to kind of be able to have those first moments with baby, because this moment isn't about family. It is about family, but this moment isn't about everybody else. You are the one that's created this baby for 9 months. You are the one that has pushed this baby out, okay? And I really just feel like every mom deserves those special moments, that special couple of hours to really just relax after all of the commotion and just bond with mommy, daddy, and baby. Obviously, if daddy's not in the picture, mommy and baby, but my boyfriend is very much in the picture. So I definitely recommend that. But back to the story. So it was about 11:30. We waited. He came back in about 12:15. It really was not long after he checked me and seen that I was a 7. I want to say he was going on his lunch break soon. So before he goes on his lunch break, he usually comes back around and checks on everybody. Well, there was a girl in the room a little bit down the hall from me she wasn't as far along as I was. I think she was about 36 weeks. And so she was a little early, but she was also his patient. And she ended up having her little girl, I want to say, an hour before I did. About an hour, because after he had left my room at 11:30, he had to go back to her room, and he delivered her, because when he came back at about 12:15, he checked me and he said, "All right, it's time for you to start pushing." Well, with your first time mom, when you start pushing, and I feel like a lot of people leave this out. when they talk about their birth story, or maybe it just doesn't happen happen like that for a lot of people, or maybe every hospital's different, but I don't know. At our hospital though, if you're like a first-time mom, or you're going for like a VBAC and you've never had a vaginal birth before, they usually make you push with a nurse for a little bit before, they usually make you push with the nurse for a little bit before like the doctor comes in and you actually deliver. Like you actually do like your delivering pushes. I mean, like you push the same the whole time, but with first births, it just tends to be a little bit slower because obviously your body's never done this before. So we did some practice pushes with the nurse. We probably pushed with the nurse for probably about, I think he told her like 10 minutes. Well, he came back in and he checked me, and back to the epidural thing where he turned it way up. And yeah, I was numb. I couldn't feel nothing. Your girl was super, super, super numb. Okay? Nothing. I felt nada. It felt great. Okay? So, but apparently it was like affecting the way I was pushing and stuff like that. So he was like, all right, well, we're going to turn the epidural off for about 30 minutes and then we'll come back and we're going to push again. He's like, we're really close. And my boyfriend, he was the best support system the whole time I was in labor. Like, if he hasn't been supportive at any other time in our relationship, like, that was it. And the whole time he's like, babe, I can see his hair. I can see his hair. It was so gross. But at the same time, like, it felt so motivating because I'm like, yes, he's right there. I'm going to meet him so soon. You know, and, like, nothing's like those first, like, not the first moments, but like the moments before you know you're fixing to meet your baby. Because he's like, babe, his hair's right there. His hair's right there. You know, he's almost here. And, you know, like, this is the moment you've been waiting almost 10 months for. So it's exciting. So they turn my epidural off. He's like, you're going to come back in 30 minutes and you're going to push. So this is what happened. She delivered her baby while I was practice pushing. So he was actually in her room delivering her baby while they had turned my epidural off for 30 minutes and had me practice pushing with the nurse during those 30 minutes because they were waiting, you know, for my epidural to wear down because they had it up so high that I couldn't feel anything and push effectively or efficiently, effectively, whatever. So he actually delivered her baby while I was doing that, and then he come back after the 30 minutes, like it was literally like 30 minutes on the dot, because like your girl was watching the clock. I was trying to, you know, be like, all right, come on, it's time to push, you know, like it's time to get this baby out of me because you've already got me hyped up and let's go. Because like I said, like I wasn't feeling anything. My epidural was way up there. So... I mean, I'm completely numb. I literally felt nothing. I didn't even feel the placenta come out, like, after he was already born. And it was 30 minutes later. I had been practice pushing with the nurse while he was gone, like, during my contractions and stuff like that. And the baby was, like, right there. He was literally right there. Head almost out. So he comes in, and like I said, my doctor is absolutely amazing. He was so motivating. Every single push, he would just tell me how good I was doing and how I was about to meet my beautiful baby boy. And he just kept reminding me that the whole time. And like I said, like I love my doctor so much, guys. It's so unreal. I love him so much. Like I almost just want to have 100 babies just so he can deliver them all. No, I'm kidding. I really don't want more than 3 kids. Don't. Kind of not more than 2, but I really, really want to adopt one day. But that's a whole nother story time. Because I've gotten way off subject so many times during this video. And I keep waving this pen around because I have notes right here that like I'm trying to read kind of and not forget anything in my story. Alright. So, now the exciting part. He comes in, it's like 12, 15. Actually, I want to say it was 12:45. I remember looking at the clock and it saying 12:45. So at this point, it had been from, like 11:30 when he come in and checked me, and I was at a 7, and then he came back in about 12:15, and we pushed a few minutes, and then we waited those 20 to 30 minutes for my epidural to wear off. So it was probably 12:45 when he got back into the room. And from that point, that was when the baby's head was almost out. But with first-time moms, like I said, things are a little bit slower, and my doctor's really, really, really good about not letting you tear. He's actually gotten a lot of recognition for this. Both of the doctors in his office have, because they are both really, really good about making sure you don't tear. And I did not. Wait, I'm lying. Hold on. So he comes in, and it's like 12:45. We start pushing. Baby's head's almost right there. And obviously we pushed for like a good 30 minutes after that. So I guess altogether I pushed for about an hour, which I don't really feel like is too bad, especially for a first-time mom, because you hear a lot of like horror stories and stuff of moms pushing for like 3, 4, 5 hours. And like, I just could not imagine. I was very, very fortunate and very lucky in my birth, but I also, when I went in to be induced, I had been walking around at like 4 centimeters for weeks. So I pushed for about 30 minutes, and at 1:16 p.m., my beautiful, beautiful, beautiful baby boy Eric Cole III was born, and it was the best moment of my entire life, and it was worth every single contraction that I felt before the epidural. It was worth every single backache while I was pregnant, because during my pregnancy I was a complainer. I complained so much, but I was also really huge because I'm only 4'11". But yeah, at 1:16 Trace was born, and things have not stopped since. It's been the best time of my entire life. I always wanted to be a mom. I always knew that one day I wanted to have kids. I wanted to be a mom. That's the kind of life that I wanted to live. And the day he was born, my entire life changed. Well, I mean, obviously it changed while I was pregnant too, but there's nothing like seeing and holding your baby for the first time. But like I said in the beginning of this video, this was a really requested video. A lot of people wanted to see it. I'm really fortunate. I'm very fortunate to have had a easy labor and delivery, especially with an induction. From start to finish, it was 7:30, 8:30, 9:30, 10:30, 11:30, 12:30. It was about 7 hours that I was in labor. And honestly, that's not bad at all, especially for like a first-time mom. And I'm not trying to freak anybody out, because I hope this happens for you. If you're watching this, I hope that you have a great labor and delivery, and I hope your story turns out just as easy or just as good as mine. I would never pray for a C-section on anybody. That was one of my biggest fears, especially going in for an induction. Yeah, definitely one of my biggest fears. But I'm going to go ahead and end this video now that I've told the whole story of my labor and delivery, and I'm going to go get Trace up from his nap and enjoy the rest of the day until I have to go to work in a little bit. So if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and turn on your notifications for my videos, guys. And I will talk to you in a little bit.